We've been working on this book for, God, 7, 8 years. And finally we got it to where we could get it out and published. And because before it was so much, it was just so much. We had over 800 pages before, you know, it was just so much. We had to cut it down and, you know, get some people to help us to even cut it down. David Smitherman, he was wonderful in helping us to kind of bring it into book form. But it's been a wonderful passion project, and I've loved. It's hard. It's really, really hard. It's hard drudging up all those old memories. Some of them are not so good, you know, but you gotta put it all out there. So.
And it's an incredible story. Your story.
It is.
How did you first start singing, and you know, what were your early musical influences?
Well, my first love was gospel music. Singing in my daddy's church. My dad was a pastor of the church. My mom was assistant pastor, and we sang all the time in church in the choirs, and as the little Pointer sisters we sang, and that was my biggest influence and training, singing in the church choir. And I never had any professional training, so it was all getting your parts in the choir, knowing which is alto, which is soprano, which is tenor, and they did that for us. And I still love gospel music, even though we don't really do much of it anymore, but I love it. It's my first love for music, and that's how we really got started. Professionally, though, was a whole different thing. It was after high school, and we, how did it start? I was working at a law office in Berkeley called Matwire and Sweeney, and Bonnie and June were singing at Fillmore West with the Northern California State Youth Choir. That "Oh Happy Day, Happy Day." Ooh, I love it. It was so good. But I went over to see them, and I just lost my mind. I really, really did. I was crying and crying. I said, I want to be up there singing with them. And the next day I quit my job, and I got with Bonnie and June, and we ended up getting a place together in San Francisco, a flat that we wrote a song about, Shaky Flat Blues, on our first album. And we ran into some musicians there that got us a little bit of work in Oakland, but then I met a guy who took us to Texas and said he was gonna fulfill our dreams because he knew all the people in Houston and he would get us work. And me and Bonnie and June went to Texas and got stranded. We were stuck in that heat, that Texas summertime heat. And we were really moving there. We had sent all our clothes on Greyhound buses. We drove in the car with this guy, singing all the way. By the time we got to Texas, we were hoarse because we had sang so much. But we sang at a couple of clubs in Houston and got a lot of disappointments in Houston.
Really?
Yeah, just people would tell you to come back at this time and then they wouldn't be there. Go back in the places locked up, you know. And so there was a lot of disappointments there where people just didn't want to hear us. They didn't want to listen to us. And
what happened after that? Do you move back to California?
Yeah, Bonnie happened to have a card from David Rubinson's office in her purse. So we said, well, can't hurt to try, because we had called everyone else we knew, from Mama, Daddy, everybody, please get us home. Mama said, Bonnie and June, she said, June, my baby, I'll send her a ticket home, but you and Bonnie, you're old enough to get your own way home. So we were stuck. But David Rubinson's card in Bonnie's purse, we called him, and he had seen Bonnie and June at his office, which was right across the street from Fillmore West. And David was a partner with Bill Graham. And they had seen Bonnie and June go through the office, and they had heard her singing on a tape that was left there by a musician friend of ours, Michael Takamatsu. And he said, I heard them, but he'd never seen me. I'd never been in his office or nothing. But he sent me a ticket home. He sent all three of us tickets home from Houston, Texas to Oakland. And as soon as we got back to Oakland, we started doing backup singing with different groups in the Bay Area. Elvin Bishop was one of the first.
Yeah.
Cold Blood, Taj Mahal, Grace Slick. We work with all the Tower of Power. Yeah, we work with all the Bay Area people, and we had, and Sylvester, we ended up being the backup singers for Sylvester and his hot band, and he was so much fun. Oh my God! And he was one of the first gay marriages. They had a mock marriage in San Francisco at Golden Gate Park, and we were there. But
and was it with Elvin Bishop that you guys kind of got noticed and got signed for your first record? Is that right? Or
well, we had worked with Elvin. Actually, when we got signed, we were working with Dave Mason.
with Dave Mason, right?
We had gotten a gig. We got this gig. A friend of Bonnie's was Dave Mason's percussionist, Quasi Dijanu. And he said, you should come to rehearsal. We're rehearsing for a European tour. And actually it's for a Columbia convention or something like that, I think. But he said, you should come and let Dave Mason know he needs you. He needs you guys on this tour. And so we went over to their rehearsal, me and Bonnie and June, and we sang with him, and he signed us, just said, yeah, come on, go on the road with us. So he was going to London. That was our first time out of the country. And we were so super excited. So Dave gave us a really good break doing that. We went over and sang, and let's see what happened after that. We got to London. They lost all our bags. So that's when we had to go to Biba's shopping, and that's where I got those shoes that are on our book cover.
It's an amazing cover, isn't it?
Yeah, at Biba's in London. We went over there and we had to get some clothes for the show because our clothes never came until the last day.
And it literally looks like, you've had a stylist working on this for months, but you didn't have a stylist at all. This is just how you guys
David
dressed.
Rubinson said, wear the clothes that you guys usually wear when you go out partying and stuff, because usually wearing jeans and, tie-dye and bell-bottoms. But when we wanted to dress up, we'd go to the antique stores and get these old vintage dresses that we couldn't afford. They had I-Magnin labels in them and, all these famous labels in them that we never could buy, so we could get them secondhand. And we started doing that, wearing the secondhand clothes. And he said, that's a great look for you guys. I want to see that on the album cover. We were like, well, what? So then we went to my mom's friends' basements and got furs and hats. And that was it. That's what we used for our first cover.
And so when you guys made the change from being backing singers to being, your own group, how did that feel? And was that ever your aim, or did you just wanted to sing and be a part of the music industry?
At the time, I just wanted to sing, but I'm sure I felt like I can remember being backstage on the road with Taj Mahal and people asking for his autograph and saying, one of these days, people are going to ask for our autographs too, And so I guess that was a deep wish, to be up front. And it's harder up front. It's much harder in the background. It's much easier in the background. It's harder up front.
And what was do you remember the first Pointer Sisters show?
Ooh, yeah. Oh, God. We did, well, this was just before our very first show, after our first album was finished, we went to Biba's in San Francisco. And our band, one of the band members, the guitar player, we were all dressed in our 40s, Billie Holiday, looking so fabulous, and the place was packed. And the guitar player came out on stage in a Ku Klux Klan suit.
What?
Yes, with the hood and the Ku Klux Klan, and David Rubinson, our manager, had a fit. He was so, and it was a group that he had signed, and he dropped them the very next day. I won't even mention their name because they're not worth mentioning. Yeah. But they came out in Ku Klux. I said, why would they do that to us? Come dressed like the Ku Klux Klan, and they're performing behind us. And it was really insulting, and it was really degrading, and my manager like I say, he dropped the group the next day. They were like our team, we we were with the same producer, and we couldn't understand the logic, you know,
What an
and
awful
the
thing to
disgrace that they, you know, put on. It was just really disgusting, you know. But
What happened that night then?
We tore that place up. We tore Bimbo's up with or without him. We just ignored this guy and just tore it up. Everybody loved us, and from there, the next gig I think was the Troubadour here in Los Angeles.
Amazing.
And we
venue.
were opening for Herbie Hancock.
Wow.
Yeah, and he was wonderful. It was just wonderful.
And how did you find it difficult? You were saying, you know, adjusting from being a backup to being up front.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to get used to that?
2 minutes. Because we were always up front anyway. We used to be on the road with Dave Mason, and they would be telling us, stop upstaging the star. Because it was rock and roll. And we were, you know, flying across the stage. I mean, running across the stage, back and forth. And the band was just incredible. His band was so good. And oh my God, it was just an amazing experience working with Dave. He was really, really great guy. The band, we hadn't ever worked with a band that great, I don't think, ever. At least I don't remember it being, you know, and it was bigger shows too than we had been used to, so it was really cool. But it was not much of an adjustment though to move up front, you know, and we had written songs. We sang all the time, you know, rehearsing, and when we started on our first album, David, he had the studio in San Francisco, and he would have us come over and work with a pianist. Songs like Cloudbursts and Salt Peanuts, and they would start off slow, and every day we speed them up, speed it up, speed it up. And that's how we did that and got those songs down.
And do you remember your first songwriting experiences?
Well, songwriting, me and Bonnie and June used to write all the time. When we lived in San Francisco together, when we were doing the backup singing, that's when we started writing. But one of my most memorable writing experiences is with Stevie Wonder.
Wow.
When we ran into him at Meedham in France, and he said, I got a song for you guys. And he started kind of playing it. You know, we were there out on the beach, and he always had a keyboard. You know, he didn't have nothing up my sleeve, nothing. He always had his music, but he started playing this thing. And then when we got back to Sausalito, to San Francisco, David called and said, Stevie wants to do this song with you guys. And I almost had a heart attack. I was like, are you kidding me? Oh my God! I was trying to be cool, you know, trying to be calm, but we flew over to San Francisco to Wally Heider Studios, and me and Bonnie, we finished writing 2 songs with Stevie. We only got credit on one of them, but I know we wrote some stuff on the other one too. I know what I wrote on the other song, a song called Sleeping Alone, and I wrote the entire end of the song, the vamp, which I call the vamp. That's all me. And then we did a song called Baby Bring Your Sweet Stuff Home to Me. And me and Bonnie and Stevie did that one, and it won the Tokyo Music Festival Award, and that was in 19-something. But it won the Tokyo Music Festival Award, and we were real proud of that. I still have my little trophy at home.
Was that late 70s?
Yes.
Mid-late 70s?
Yeah, late 70s.
And your sound in the Pointer Sisters sound in the 70s was so different to what came after it in that incredible run of hit singles in the 80s. How would you kind of describe the 70s sound?
I guess we kind of wanted to, when we got to the 80s, wanted to make up for Bonnie being gone, you know, because it was very different, and we didn't want people to say, oh, it's not the same without Bonnie. So we kind of just switched up. We changed our look. We changed our music, and yeah, it was different than and we did a lot of jazz in the very beginning. We were on a jazz label, Blue Thumb, because we tried every other record label and they turned us down. I couldn't believe it. I mean, everybody, they did not want to hear, no, you gotta be like the Honeycombs or the Jackson 5, You know, they want us to be an imitation of something that was already out there. We love the Honeycombs, we love the Jackson 5, but we don't want to be a imitation of them.
You want to do your own thing.
We wanted to do our own thing, and we came in, when we first got our deal, they sent us to New Orleans to work with Wardell Kazare, who was the producer for Gene Knight, who had the hit out Mr. Big Stuff.
Yeah.
And we took them songs that we had, songs that we had written, songs we had gotten from Taj Mahal, songs we later used on our albums, but they laughed in our face. I mean, we had Shaky Flat Blues, we had, you know, things that we later recorded, Cheney Do, but they just literally laughed in our face and said, black girls cannot sing that kind of song. You cannot sing that kind of music. And they told us that. You cannot sing that kind of music. And so they took all our music and they rearranged it and they made it R&B. And that was the end of that.
So were they turning down sort of like demos that you're playing in the office?
Yeah. We were singing live.
Let's
get up in front of them and sing live. Me, Bonnie, and June singing live. They weren't no demos. We were singing songs to them and they laughed at us. They laughed at us. They thought, you guys are so crazy, because we had some country stuff too. And they thought, you guys are nuts. You can't sing country music. Why not? Yeah. My family's from the country. You know, good grief. So anyway,
you've definitely had the last laugh now.
We sure did. Yeah, we ended up being the first black female group to ever get a Grammy Award for a country song, and the first black female group to ever play the Grand Ole Opry.
I mean, it's incredible. And
to have Elvis record our song that we wrote. Me and Bonnie wrote a country song called Fairy Tale, same name as the book.
It's been quite very, because so many people might not even know things like this about the Pointer Sisters. That you guys have been successful doing such a huge variety of material. Because you know, I'm so excited. Automatic and you know songs like that are just so different from songs like Fairy Tale. And why do you think it is that you're able? Is it just the way that you sing that makes you guys able to tackle such a variety of different material? And do you just have a very eclectic taste in music? That's
true. And we're all so different, and we try to feature different sisters, you know. So we like to, when they ask us, you know, what kind of music do you sing? It was always any kind, every kind. You know, what do you want to hear? You know, but yeah, it's hard to do it that way because they want to categorize you. They want to put you in that slot, you know, and they want that. So it's harder for them. Harder for the industry to market you, I guess, if you don't label what type of music you're doing, you know. And we didn't really have a type. It was like whatever you'll let us sing and get away with, we'll do it. You know, we've had some fun times doing some funny stuff. We did a lot from the very beginning. David was very adventurous. You know, and I love the fact that he loved our music, the things that we wrote, you know, like Jada, the Shaky Flat Blues, and Sugar, and Cheney, you know, those songs that we created ourselves. And it was at a time when women weren't really writing their own material. You know, they weren't even women were just the opening acts for the male acts, and that was it. So did you, because it sounds, you know, that story of the band showing up in those Ku Klux Klan suits and sort of, you know, discrimination was definitely more prevalent around that era. Was that something that you were conscious of and very conscious of it?
I mean, obviously, something like that happening is ridiculous. Like if that happened now,
you can't help but be conscious of it unless you just go around blindfolded. I mean, we got to the Grand Ole Opry. They had protesters out there marching, you know, saying keep country music white, keep country music country. And we had roadies that were attacked on the road, you know, they said they were nigger lovers, and they beat our roadie almost to death. And times when we would go into you know, restaurants and bars, and we were on the road with Chicago, our very first tour. And we all went to the bar downstairs. We were all staying in the same hotel, went to the bar downstairs together. They would serve them, but they wouldn't serve us.
That's so
They
awful.
refused to serve us.
And this was in,
And that's
in the late
because
70s?
we were black. Yes, the late 70s.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. It was really so much, that we experienced, and, that's why, I mean, I still want to tell these kids there's still hope. There's still love out there. There's a lot of love. All this evil is just trying to get through and overweigh the love, but there's still love out there. It really is. There's some great musicians and great people who understand, and are just, aware of diversity and how we need to include inclusion and how we need to have things go and make things better in the world.
And were you conscious of your role in breaking down barriers like this of gender discrimination and racial discrimination? Or was it just something, this type of discrimination just horrified you and you just wanted to get on with music?
I was aware of it because I had gone through a few years of training with my brother, Fritz, who I wrote the book with.
Wrote Fairy Tale with.
And he, before we ever started singing, he had a center in Oakland and he was teaching Black history. He had gone away to college, come back, and said he wanted to start a community center teaching Black kids Black history because he learned things that none of us ever knew about. In our school, they never taught us any Black history. Black people did nothing but pick cotton, and there was one was George Washington Carver who did the peanuts. That's it. There was you contributed nothing to this country except being a slave, taking care of my children, and that was the history I got growing up. You just, it was so frustrating because you just see the opportunities, you see things just going in the opposite way when it's not right, it's not fair, it's not humane, and so I was aware of it. Yes, I was. I had been taught. Fritz had the center. We had Stokely Carmichael speak. We had Rap Brown speak. We had Muhammad Ali speak. And, it was teaching us that we are, Black Lives Matter. They are of value in this world. You have contributed to this world. You built this country, with your bare hands. You were ones out there in the fields building and cutting and doing all that shit, I'm sorry.
It's true.
But it just, I was aware of it, but I just kind of had to say, after an event that happened in Oakland with my brother, which I don't know if I want to talk about it right now, but it just kind of made me say, okay, this is a capitalistic country. Okay, I'll be a capitalist. I'm not gonna deal with all the, the activism and things that I'll know what it is. I know my place. I know where I stand. I know my worth, but I'll just keep it to myself and I'll just go and do my work and do what I love to do, and that's make people happy. And
Sing and make records.
Yeah. And those other people that are mean and mad and evil and all that, they can go jump in the river. I don't care where they go, but I'm just gonna do what I got to do. And forget them. I really did, because we performed for Reagan. He was our first White House visit.
Wow.
And then we went back for Clinton. We visited Clinton at the White House, and then we visited Bush.
Wow,
So
that's
very versatile.
very versatile. And your music has obviously been enjoyed by people, loved by people all around the world.
Yeah.
And it's broken down barriers just by being such incredible music. The 80s must have been such an amazing time for you guys. There were so many smash singles that are still, they're still being played in clubs today. They're timeless.
I know, I'm telling you, I love it.
How does that music, do you have, because it was such an incredible period of success for you, do you have, but then I guess you broke in the 70s, do you love one era more than the other?
Well, the 80s, that's when we started making money. The 70s, our manager said, I'm gonna make you girls famous. He did it. but he didn't make us rich. We didn't have nothing. We'd come home from touring on the road and get a check for $50 a piece. And the band was making more than we were. Our band leader finally came to us and said, I can't work. He quit because he said, they're just not treating you girls right. I can't believe what you're doing out here, and I can't just keep working on the road and making more money than you guys. And he quit, and we cried and cried.
So was it a conscious decision then? Was it like in the 80s you were like, right, we want to have some like big singles?
Yeah, we want to have a big show. And our manager at the time was Sandy Gallen. He got us a loan because we didn't have the money to put a show together. But he got us a bank loan, and we got Kenny Ortega and Demita Joe and choreographers and fashion designers and dancers and hydraulic lifts, and we had the greatest show. It was so fabulous. And we paid back the loan in 2 weeks, and we were rolling. We were on the road, out there in Vegas. We were playing Vegas, Caesars Tahoe, Caesars Vegas, Caesars Atlantic City. All year we'd go round and round, and then we switched off and did the MGM and the Hilton, and we played all the hotels in Vegas. But the 80s was, I guess, the hottest times for us and the most fun times for us, because we were able to do some things we really, really wanted to do. I was listening the other day, my granddaughter bought me a boombox. And it only plays cassettes, and I love it. Because I'm a collector. I got all these collections of Pointer Sister live shows on cassette, and I was playing them, and they sound so good. Oh my God! And they're from the 80s. So it was just hearing June's voice, and hearing her talking, and and the musicians we had back then, they were just so good. Oh God. Melvin Davis, our bass player, he was fabulous. And Eric McCain, our percussionist, he was just incredible. And Jim Ingle was on the drums.
Is there a standout show from the 80s, or some standout, performances or gigs that you remember as being particularly incredible?
Well, I don't know, from the 80s, the 70s, we always had some great shows. Standout, the first Standout was going to Zaire with Muhammad Ali for the Ali Foreman fight, and we performed for like 500,000 people. It was unbelievable. As far as you could see, it was just people, as far as you could see. And they built this big stadium in Zaire for the event, and they had all these American artists over there. Sister Sledge and James Brown and Bill Withers and Etta James, Hugh Masekela. It was just fantastic, and we performed, and then we had 5 days off in Africa. Woo-hoo-hoo. And it was just it was so incredible. I was trading USA T-shirts for malachite and ivory. They would you had a baseball cap, you could get some ivory, it was just so beautiful. And the people, the land was just beautiful. It was the most beautiful place I'd ever seen, and I've ever seen. Then we went back to Egypt. That was great too. To see those pyramids, woo. Because I haven't been down to the Mayan areas and all that. They have pyramids there too. In South America, we never really toured South America, which is a shame. I don't know why, because we did some songs in Spanish.
Yeah, it would have been huge there.
Yeah, and they did well there, but we never got a chance to tour.
I guess you must have been incredibly busy.
I guess so.
Was that a really, was that a very intense period as well, the 80s?
Yes, the 80s. Oh, the 80s and the 90s. The 80s and the 90s, we were like robots.
Were you just gigging all the time?
Just all the time, working until, it just got to be a bit much. I had to start slowing down.
But also, I guess at a certain point, you feel like you've achieved everything that you can in pop music.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look back on your catalogue, you've had so many hits, but I always like to ask people who've had this number of hits, you know, rather than talk about, say, like Automatic, I want to hear, what are your favourite deep cuts that, you know, people might not have heard
They may
before?
not have heard? Ooh. Like, I love like the old stuff from our first album, Grinning in Your Face, an old Sun House tune that we did. And I also like songs that I wrote that were never singles. Could I Be Dreamin', which I think is the most fabulous song ever, and they wouldn't release it as a single. These record companies, I couldn't even, at first when we did So Excited, I could not get them to release So Excited as a single.
Really?
It was, the whole album was titled Pointer Sisters So Excited. Me and Trevor, we wrote the song. They would not release it. And then we were doing the next album. I said, Richard, you can't lose this song. This is a great song. And we did this album, Breakout. And I said, put it on Breakout. They don't do, you can't do that. That was on the last album. You can't put, I said, you should do it. Put it on there. And I begged him, come on. And it became a hit. You know, and so many times they do that, you know, where record companies, they'll pick the singles based on who wrote the song, who they owe a favor to, or, you know, things like that. Because the songs that we released, that were released off of the So Excited album, were not as good as So Excited, but they refused to release it. And then when they finally released it, it became a hit. And I'm like, thank you, I told you. You know, oh, they make it so hard. It's a hard business, hard life.
Yeah. Well, it's, you know, it should be them. It should be them coming up with that decision.
Exactly. They should know.
But I'm glad that they listen.
They should know. They should listen too to the artists. You know, they really should.
Well,
they really
sure.
should. I've got a lot of good songs that need to be released.
And what do you think is the best, most recent track?
The best of the Pointer Sisters ever? So Excited. That's my favorite. It's the one that means the most to me. Maybe because I wrote every word. But
and do you ever get tired of hearing Pointer Sisters on the radio? You know, you must hear it all the time on the radio. And
I
stuff.
don't.
Does
I
it
never
get
hear.
old?
I never hear our music on the radio ever.
Really?
Never. And that's why I'm wondering, what the heck is wrong with this country? Why don't they play our music? You know, I sit up in the nail salon or wherever they were playing music, and everybody that was out with us is playing, you know, 94.7 The Wave. And they will not do I never hear our music. I never, people call me sometimes and say, I heard your music, I heard your song on the radio, I was in a restaurant, or I was in the grocery store, or I was in the mall, but I'm out. I guess I just be missing it because I never hear anything. It's like they've totally buried us since we.
It's on all the time, and it gets played in clubs and stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
Good.
And it's timeless.
That's so wonderful. That's so wonderful. Because I don't go to clubs. I guess that's why I don't hear it.
Well,
not anymore.
Have you ever seen the scene in Love Actually?
Yes, I love that. And the movie's coming out again like this week.
Yeah.
I saw something on TV that I said, all right, that's so great. I love that.
And did you find that after that, you guys got kind of reintroduced, that song got reintroduced to like a massive audience again?
It did, I believe. Yes, it really did. It sure did.
That was when I first discovered all your music.
Really?
I just couldn't believe how good that song Jump was.
Oh my goodness.
Unbelievable.
Oh, that's so great. That is so great. That's a great song.
I want to finish by asking you, because this is a series called Greatest of All Time, who are your favourite artists of all time, who kind of either inspired you in the early days or modern artists that you think are really great?
Oh God, all the Motown, from Stevie Wonder, Smokey Robinson, Diana Ross, and the Supremes, Marvin Gaye, Billie Holiday, Ella Fitzgerald. We used to listen to her stuff, and I haven't listened to her in a while though. Sarah Vaughan, Dionne Warwick.
She's incredible, yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll manage to get her for this series too.
Oh, really?
We were going to interview her in Vegas. She was playing a 165 capacity venue, Cleopatra's Barge in Caesars.
Wow.
We were just walking past, and there she was on stage.
Oh,
I couldn't believe it.
She's amazing. She's still out there. I saw a thing with her in Vegas. They had a truck going down the street playing her music when we were there a few weeks ago.
Yeah, it must have been advertising that show. Yeah.
Yeah. But there's so many. Oh God, who else am I forgetting? Who did I love? I don't know, the guy groups, you know, the Temptations, the Spinners, the OJs, the Rolling Stones.
Those are some of the choices that I'd pick, certainly. So you've got a very good taste, Anita.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for taking the time. Anita.
Thank you so much. Thank you.